Ron Howard spoke at USC one time and they asked him, like, why do all your movies have happy endings? And he was either like, that's not how life is. And he was like, life is full of happy endings if you just know where to look for them.
What's up, guys? Hey, I'm Dustin Ibarra.
And I'm Greg Baldwin.
And we're podcasting.
Yeah!
Yeah, man. Welcome to Good Things Are Happening.
Man, it's good to be here.
Good things are happening, dude.
It's awesome, dude.
It's
awesome,
exciting.
Man.
This is awesome because, like, we're doing this podcast and, like, good things are happening. And then it's like, I feel like we manifested this kind of.
Welcome to Good Things Are Happening podcast. I'm Greg Baldwin. I'm here with my boy.
I'm Dustin Ibarra.
And, man, it's great to be here. What's going on, buddy? How you doing?
I'm doing good, bro.
Yeah?
It's good, man.
All right. Give me something positive in your life.
Something positive in my life. Let's see. I went to Beach Life Festival last week. Do you know what Beach Life is?
It's a festival on the beach.
Yes.
Yeah.
It had Sting and Incubus.
Wow.
And ZZ Top and the Dirty Heads, just a bunch of really cool bands, and it's right by my place.
Nice.
So I took my electric bike there. Yeah, I have an electric bike now, Greg.
Nice, dude.
That's how my life has turned around.
That's good. Get a
I
bike.
can operate an electric vehicle.
Get a bike where you don't have to pedal. That's
Bro, everyone gives me shit for that too. It's so funny. If I were skinny, they wouldn't give me shit, but because I got a little bit of this, they're like, well, you know, if you pedal, you lose weight. And I'm like, okay, man.
I mean, listen, the truth is exercise is way overrated.
It is. Oh, dude, come on, man.
You don't need it. Dude.
Yeah, I would just pedal the Jack in the Box, so who cares?
Yeah.
No, but it was super cool. My buddy was he was supposed to get me tickets. He didn't. So I go there and when I say I went to Beach Life, I listened from outside.
Nice,
so behind the fence, man. I was very you could kind of see the artist, you know, and you could hear everything because it's outdoors. But I remember thinking like this because I'm like, wow, because I'm Mexican. I'm like, I bet you this is what it's like to be in Mexico, looking at America, and you're like, Sting is in there, man. Everyone's having fun. So I was like looking like, how am I gonna sneak into this, dude? I gotta get in there.
It's like at the border wall. They're on the other side of the border wall, right?
Bro,
like
okay,
on the wall.
Yes,
they're like, it's right over across the wall.
Imagine the border wall, but Incubus is playing a concert right there. You know, you couldn't protect that, man.
No. Could you see through the fence?
No, I could see a little bit over it on the big screens, but I heard everything. They played like Message in a Bottle and
that's fine.
It was a good time. It was a good time. And it's, you know, festivals were a place where I used to party. You know, I remember it's so weird because I remember thinking back like I'm never gonna have fun again. This sucks, man.
Yeah.
I had a good ass time, and I wasn't even in the festival. You know what I'm saying? Like I was on the outside, and I was like, yeah. I don't know the words to any Sting songs, but I'll be watching you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Roxanne.
Oh, when they played Roxanne, dude, I was like, yeah, hookers, let's go, bro.
So it was fun.
Yeah, it was a really good time, man.
That's awesome.
I had a blast, bro.
It was fun on on an electric bike that you rode there on the outside of the fence, listen to the music by yourself.
Yep.
And see, we can find happiness and joy in the small things in life.
Yeah, dude.
That's awesome.
You've got a lot of gratitude.
That's awesome. I had a pretty good weekend.
Yeah, tell me about the weekend of Greg.
So I do this thing. It's called. I was director of this thing called H&I, and H&I is like the nonprofit arm of a nonprofit. It's like the service arm of a nonprofit.
H&I.
H&I.
They have that in Mexico too. It's called H&I. I'm sorry. Anytime someone says I gotta put that in there.
Yeah, but what it is you bring recovery to jails and institutions, you know, about recovering from alcoholism and drug addiction. So anyway, I got asked to be the keynote speaker at the California State H&I Convention.
Oh,
and I was the keynote speaker, and it was awesome because I've spoken in the jails over 300 times. I was director of the program, and you know, I'm an expert on that type of service work, and I held all the leadership positions and stuff, and you know, it was just an honor to be the keynote speaker, and it was awesome. I gave a 45-minute talk, and I had some inspirational stories. And
did you get laughs?
I got laughs.
I know you got laughs. 'Cause you always throw in your little jokes in there. I see them when you speak.
Yeah, I threw in a couple jokes to get some laughs. And at the end of it, I got a standing ovation.
You got a standing ovation?
From the whole conference. And it wasn't just like one person stand up, two people stand out. It wasn't like one at a time. Mm-hmm. The whole place all stood up at once.
Oh, dude.
And I got a standing ovation. And I was like, wow, like that is, that is really... That felt good.
Sting didn't even get a standing ovation. You beat Sting, man.
I beat Sting.
Yeah.
So that was good. And then another cool thing happened for me is I do the SNL show.
Yeah.
And I didn't tell this story about Jay Leno before, I don't think.
No.
Right? Okay. So I was doing a show and I produced the show and I book it. I booked the SNL show. It's former cast members and hosts and whatever. So Jay Leno had hosted the show in 1986. So I sent a message to his productionist team asking him to do the show. And Daryl and I were in Colorado and my phone rings and it says no caller ID, right? So usually that's someone important, So I answer the phone. I'm like, hi, it's Greg. And he goes, hey, Greg, it's Jay. I go, Jay? And he goes, Leno. It's Jay Leno. And I'm like, oh my God. Like,
what? And you gotta be like, all right, someone's messing.
No, I knew because I had emailed him. So I knew it was him, right? And I can recognize his voice. And then I'm like, oh, I'm here with Daryl Hammond. So I put him on speaker. They say hi. I get on the phone. He goes, so I got the email about the show, the SNL show. He goes, what's going on? And I said, well, it's former cast members and hosts, and you hosted in 1986. And Daryl used to impersonate you. And we want to know if you do the show. He's like, is it filmed? I'm like, no. And he's like, when is it? I'm like, on Wednesday. And on a Wednesday. And he says, okay. And what's the date? And I give it to him. And he goes, okay. He goes, I'll do it. And I'm like, oh, that's so cool. And and he goes, well, just call me and remind me before the show. And I said, okay. And I go, but I don't have your phone number. And he goes, well, I'll give it to you. And Jay Leno gave me his phone number.
Do you have it right now?
I do. I have it on my cell. Let's call him.
Yeah, see if he wants to be a guest.
Oh, that'd be awesome. So he comes to the show, the night of the show. He shows up on time to the show. He watches everybody's set, including my own. So I do my set, and I go sit next to Jay after, and I said, "Thank you for doing the show." And he looked me right in the eyes, and he said, "I loved your material." He goes, "You have so much heart."
Oh, that's
cool. What he said to me, and I was like, "That is the coolest validation I've ever got," from Jay Leno, and that's something. It's something I'll never forget, man.
It's very cool, man. Well, you do have a lot of heart, man.
Thanks. Yeah. I wish you had said you were hilarious. But I do this little inspirational story.
You do, yeah.
So, and it gets a couple laughs, but it was a big compliment. So that was two really good things.
That is really awesome. I want to change my story now. Sting was choking and I saved his life. Yeah. I gave him CPR. I didn't even know he was choking. I was like,
You just started doing CPR.
Yeah, he was standing up. It was crazy. No, that's very cool, man. Nice. So, were you excited about today's episode?
Yeah. So today's guest, he's a good friend of mine, a very, very good friend of mine. When I was new in recovery, this dude, he had like 4 years of recovery at the time, and I'm allowed to say that, right?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah,
I'll say it if you don't.
Here he is. And I was new in the program. I didn't know anybody, and nobody really talked to me at all. Him and a guy named Charlie O'Connell, and they took me under their wing and took me to the meetings and stuff. And he showed me like I got to hang out with the cool crowd, I thought, and it was awesome. And so today's guest, he's a writer producer. He produced an amazing show on HBO. It's called Winning Time. It was a show about the Lakers. He'll tell a story about how that was created. And he also has a show out on Apple TV coming out. It's called The Big Cigar. It's coming out, I think, soon. And which is an interesting fact. He wrote for some of the Ice Age movies, which I thought is phenomenal. But anyway, please welcome my good friend, today's guest, Jim Hecht.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
Thanks for coming, bro.
I'm always shocked when you ask me to do anything. I'm like, why? You guys must have run out of guests. Is that what happened here?
Yeah. Dude,
you guys know so many funny people. Like, I write drama, man. Like, okay, I'll try to be funny.
You know what? He might be right, Greg. Can we?
You know what? Let's just.
Is there anybody out
Jay
there?
Leno? Is that possible?
Jay Leno,
I would way rather see Jay.
Nah, dude.
Jay was in Ice Age. Jay was in Ice Age 2.
He was?
He was a Fast Tony, a turtle. He was
Wow.
trying to profit off of the meltdown.
Nice. Did you, were you in the sound booth when these guys came in and recorded, or you just wrote?
I was not. It's weird because they all do it sort of separately.
Yeah.
They're not in the room together, which has always puzzled me. Like
Mhm.
you have some of the greatest comic minds of all time, Ray Romano and Dennis Leary and John Leguizamo. Like I would just love to put them in the booth and see what happens.
It is weird like that. I remember it because I've done some voiceover work. I was in a few episodes of Rick and Morty, and you just kind of go in, and it's just you, and you just read the lines.
Right.
No one says them. There's no dialogue back and forth.
And here's the other thing: like a lot of times, we've already tempted with like people in the office. You know, like they do the voices so that you can do a cut to it, and then everybody gets really used to their readings, which of course are not good because it's just like.
Some intern.
And so then they want to hear it exactly the way the intern said it. So they'll go in and direct you. Oh, could you say it? Could you hit this? Could you inflect there? Like, and they're subconsciously trying to match the performance that they already have.
Yeah, the janitor said it better.
Hold on a second. You just glossed over something. We just passed right over it. You were in Rick and Morty?
Yeah.
How do we just gloss over that? That's insane.
I tell you, I told you that. I wasn't like a main character or anything, but I did some voices.
That's incredible, dude.
It was fun, dude.
Wow.
Which voice did you do? Any that you?
I was like the daughter's boyfriend in one episode, and then someone else that same episode. But I've done voiceover before. I was in MODOK. MODOK was cool. It was that Patton Oswalt Marvel show, and I played the armadillo. Who was a real like bad guy on the show, and I remember I did it, dude. I did it so like I really got my inner Mexican and made it so like, hey, come on, man. Like it was like so. When I was doing it in the audition, I was like, oh, this is so stereotypical. They're not gonna. There's no way this is gonna fly. And then they said yes.
Yeah, good for that. Yeah,
that's so cool. I have a story about you, Dustin. My cousin's daughter. So what is that? My second cousin? What does that make it?
What am I, a genealogist?
I don't know. So anyway, she came into LA recently, and I went and met my cousin, and my cousin's daughter, second cousin or whatever it is. She's like, and she knew
you're barely related. You could hook up with her.
Yeah, that's why he's asking.
Dude, she's a young kid. Oh, okay. But she somehow they knew. Oh, we did a show together in Chicago, and my cousin came and saw you. And she told her daughter about it, who I had met, and she was so enamored by it because you were in Hop.
Yeah.
You were in Hop, the show Hop. And she's like, I know Dustin Ibarra. So she thinks I'm like this incredible guy because I hang out with you and work with you because you were in Hop.
If only she knew the real story of us. No, that's super cool. Yeah, Hop was awesome. Get that residual check every Easter.
So it's crazy. So you have a story about, and you told me the story in the past about Ice Age. You were asked to write on it, but you didn't know if you're going to, get a credit or whatever. Like what happened with that on Ice Age?
With the credit or how I got it? They're both crazy stories. Yeah.
How'd you get it?
I had sort of, because I started in Nickelodeon. My first boss, Dan Schneider, all that, season 1.
Why does that sound familiar?
I was in the first sketch of the first episode of all that. I played an old lady.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and I got mowed down in the hallway, and I spilled cantaloupes, and my line was, "My melons."
I can see that. I can see you playing.
I was a hell of an old lady. Nobody even knew it was me.
My melons.
You're gonna get typecast.
I know. And so I was really down. This is like 2.5 years into recovery, and Dan did not hire me for Zoe 101. He had promised me that he was going to hire me, and I was broke, like behind on rent.
Yeah,
you should have put it out.
I should have. Yeah, it was just like that was if I was still high.
Yeah,
that would have been
Dustin would have paid you.
Yeah,
I would have paid you.
He was on Hop, dude. He had money.
Didn't have that in the toolkit anymore at that point. So Dan didn't hire me. I was super depressed. I was like on the couch. And then I got this pilot for Spike TV that paid $2,500 for a 30-minute pilot to write. Wow. And I was just like, I'm going to kill this because I was angry. And
what show was that?
It never got made. Okay. It was called Zilch and Zero.
Okay.
It was basically a Beavis and Butthead for movies with two guys that had like a rocket video. And they would do like reviews for movies.
Okay.
Like Beavis and Butthead. And John Leguizamo ended up doing the pilot. And then Johnny and I clicked because we're just kind of both the strange weirdness factor. Like we met on that level.
Wow.
And he got them to hire me for Ice Age.
Wow.
Really?
And it was
dude. Okay, that is so cool. I got a John Leguizamo story.
You do?
Man. It was whenever I first came out to LA, I did this pilot called Only Fools and Horses. And he was in it. And we did 2 pilots, nothing ever happened from it.
I remember that though, yeah.
Yeah, John was super cool. He took me to like, I think it was Oscar season might have been happening. He took me to a bunch of cool parties and stuff.
Wow.
And then like we still keep in touch. And I get a email from The Daily Show. Like this was like a few months back, and they were like, hey, we're looking for like people for the show, and John recommended you. Could you send us your just all this stuff?
That's great.
And I'm like, oh, that is so nice, man.
That's so cool.
One of the best people. Like he's like Greg Baldwin. Honestly, like there's that same character of like goodness that like I can't quite match. Like I'm not quite that good of a person.
Yeah.
But those guys are.
They are so good.
Just like naturally. And so everything in my life should be like stamped property of John Leguizamo.
That is awesome.
And I remember, so it was like 2 weeks and I was like, I will never leave. You will never get rid of me. And I was there for 1.5 years. I moved to White Plains. And I remember I drove out there in like my beat down 15-year-old Honda Civic. And I bought my first like car.
Nice.
I bought like a Mercedes, and I called, this is so alcoholic. I called Johnny in the garage when I got it. I was like, Johnny, you made all my, I was like crying. And then I went upstairs like 5 minutes later, just some shit I had, like did not even affect my mood at all anymore.
You weren't even sure. You weren't even sure though that you were gonna be credited as one of the main writers, right? What happened? Yeah.
So I worked on the second Ice Age for a year. That was the one I was on for 1.5 years, and I moved to White Plains. And at the end of that, you have like an arbitration to see who gets credit. And they're all anonymous writers, right? It's like A, B, C, D, E. I was writer F, I remember, because I was like, it stands for fucked. Because that was my experience in life at that point, was like, I'm going to get, can I say, I'm sure I can.
Yeah, that's right.
Cool with fucked. Yeah, I was like, I'm going to get fucked. Like for sure, I'm going to get fucked. And but I remember my lawyer was saying like, it's the guy who's overseeing this board is an old lawyer who used to work with our firm, and he's known for being exceptionally fair. So if it's supposed to work out, this guy will figure that out. And it went on for weeks, man. And I couldn't sleep. Every day I was like, I would sleep till like 3 or 4 because like I didn't want to get the call and have to hear I didn't get it. I wanted to get the voicemail. And finally I was driving to a recovery meeting, and I got the call live, and they were like, you got the credit. And like, I just like pulled over and cried. I was so grateful. And I went into that meeting because that's what you do. And, they do birthdays in LA for recovery milestones. And, they were doing them at that meeting, and this guy stood up, and he had a very distinguished, like a very specific first name you wouldn't forget. And he said, my name is, blank. I've been in recovery for 38 years. And I was like, it was the same name, the same first name. And so I went up to him afterwards. I was like, are you
what?
So-and-so? And he was like,
no way.
Yeah. He was like,
he was the guy that approved you to get writing credit?
He was the guy that headed up the commission, the board.
What?
That oversaw the guy who's known for being very fair. And he didn't know me. It was just writer F. Right. And so I was like, I'm writer F. I was like, I didn't have a career before you. Like, he was like, well, you got one now, kid.
Wow. That is so cool.
And so I see him at that same recovery meeting every week. And he
changed your life.
He's got to be in his 80s. And like,
that's insane.
But because it was like literally like, hear about it, walk in, there's the guy right there. And it was like,
I love those
someone
shots,
who always was like, I'm going to get fucked. Like that was my point of view on the world. At that point, that was like, and I don't, God, the universe, whatever it is, it was like, ha ha ha, I've been there, I had your back the whole time.
That's more than just coincidences. You look at all those little serendipity things, those little things, Well,
I told my recovery sponsor that, and he said, and I thought he was Yoda, but I've heard since he didn't make this up. He goes, well, kid, sometimes coincidence is God's way of staying anonymous.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Now, what's obviously there's a huge pay difference in whether you get credited or not credited. Not that there wasn't. Really?
It's animation. You don't get any residuals, any royalties. So
No, are you
What?
serious?
Yeah.
You don't get residuals?
those movies made $3-4 billion or something like that.
There's no residuals on animated films?
No, I got paid for that year and a half. I think I made $180,000.
Wow, that's still good, but
And
it's
the movie
not.
made
It's
$1 billion.
not writer good.
Yeah,
That's the way it is.
Crazy.
Yeah,
I
that's
did not
animation.
know that.
Writers don't get residuals or royalties from animation.
So the real benefit was a career enhancement.
Yeah, and look, at that point in my life, that was a lot of money for a year and a half's worth
Yeah.
of work. Like I was thrilled,
Yeah,
and then I had, you know, a different career all of a sudden, and
Yeah.
it was all because of like the thing that came out of what I considered this huge defeat and failure and depressing thing that I didn't get hired on Zoe 101,
yeah.
Mhm.
starring Jamie Lynn Spears.
And
Oh,
and as a result, you got the.
I wouldn't have
say
been available.
You wouldn't have been.
I wouldn't have
available.
met those people. I wouldn't have been available. Like,
Wow.
And so I've had a few of those now where I'm like, at least now when horrible shit happens, I'm like, oh, I've had enough experience with these, knowing that the thing that I think is the worst thing that can happen
Yeah.
oftentimes turned out
the
to be the
best.
best. Yeah.
That's really cool.
And another example of that was when I started out on Winning Time in 2014, I first had Magic Johnson as executive producer and Will Smith.
So hold on. Before we get there, let's backtrack.
Okay. All right.
Let's backtrack on the
Yeah.
Winning Time. So Winning Time is a story about the Lakers. It was on HBO. It was
Mhm.
phenomenal. And
Thank you.
I loved it.
I loved it
Thank you.
too. I watched
Thanks,
the whole
Dustin.
thing.
I appreciate
Yeah.
that. Thanks.
This was, let's go back to the beginning. This was a vision
Yeah.
for you
Yeah.
a long time ago, right?
Well, that also came out of a huge, like, that was the next bottom, you know, like that was the next worst time in my life. I'd like fallen madly in love with this girl that was like literally not available. She was in another relationship. Like she lived with somebody, and that went on for 3 years and just
Was that-
destroyed me.
Was that Dustin's girlfriend?
It was, I figured saying it to you on camera would be the easiest way. 'cause
Oh, guys, is that why I'm here? Okay.
And so I was at that, and then I'd also just fucked my career. Like after the second Ice Age, like I'd just basically taken the highest paying job I could get, or the biggest publicity job that I thought I could get, and I wasn't generating my own shit, and nothing got made, and I declined as an asset to where I was like almost unemployable again, and
Oh man.
and I got into a meditation practice.
Mm.
A comedian actually took me to TM.
Yeah,
and was
yeah,
like,
we did the same one.
yeah, exactly.
We're
We
trying
had
to
the same
get
teacher, didn't
Dustin
we?
into it.
Yeah, I want to
Lynn,
get into
right?
TM.
Yeah, Lynn.
I do a different kind of meditation. I do like
Take a nap meditation.
Yeah.
I just lay down. I eat
That's
I eat a
helpful
bowl of
too.
spaghetti and then
It's just like,
I take a nap and then I'm like, whoa, I have crazy dreams. No, but meditation, it's really important in my life, and I need to get with it more because it helps. I can tell when it helps. Like I'll kind of do the body scan
that's what my wife
meditation.
does.
We're all just kind of like, okay, feel the bottom of your
Yeah.
foot. Now feel the top of your
Right.
foot. Breathe into your foot. breathe
That's what
into
my
your-
wife does. I consider
Yeah, that's a
taking a
great-
nap, and I look down on it, but it's probably good too.
Mm.
I'm just kidding. I'm sure
The that's good meditation
No,
too.
it
They're
is.
all
Yeah, they're
forms
all-
of meditation are good and beneficial. And by the way, we joke about taking a nap, but there was I was talking to Ringo Starr from Beatles. Ringo
Wait, you
Starr.
dropped something.
I dropped a. I dropped a is it
That's
name?
big.
I just-
That's a
That's by the way, Ringo Starr factored into Winning Time. You can ask me
Okay,
about that
so
later.
we'll go back to your
Okay.
story in a second. But so I was talking to him about meditation, and I said because he studied with the Maharishi, who
Right.
was TM, right?
Right.
So I ran into him. We have mutual friends. I said hi to him, and I said, hey, I do transcendental meditation as well. I understand you were taught from the Maharishi, and he's like, oh yeah. And I said,
Who's
and he
the
goes,
Maharishi?
he's like a yogi kind of
Okay.
dude he's like
He sounds like a G.I. Joe bad guy. Maharishi. Yeah. Sounds like a Leslie Nielsen
He has a grip.
bad guy.
Yeah.
But I guess TM's been around for thousands of years or something, but he is like one of the resurgent founders of the resurgence of
Yeah.
it or whatever. So, but I asked Ringo Starr, I told him that I do TM, and he says, I got a funny story. I can't do his accent. I got a funny story about Maharishi. He goes, me and the fellas, he's talking about the Beatles, we learned from him, and he said, we were talking to him, and he goes, I go to the Maharishi, and I go, I think we're doing it wrong. He goes, because we keep falling asleep. He goes, we keep falling asleep. And the Maharishi said, well, you must have been tired.
Oh.
So the point of that story is if it's okay if you fall asleep, that could be part of the meditation.
They told me that was better. They're like, you're in that zone then, and then you just fall asleep.
Yeah.
Oh.
What I think you're not supposed to do is like cuddle up with a blanket and a pillow and lay down. You're supposed to do it sitting up. And then if you fall asleep, that's okay.
Yeah.
Danny Boy, our friend Danny Boy, who we used to run around with.
He won't follow me back. I've been friends with him for 25 years. He didn't follow me back on Instagram.
Really?
I don't have a reason.
You know what? It wasn't even him. It was our other friend.
Good. I'm glad it wasn't.
It wasn't Danny Boy. Our other friend, Joe Manganello.
Oh, yeah.
He does TM too. And he said it right. He said, it's like you put a little, he's like, you're in the subconscious, but you have a little hook in reality.
Yeah.
You know, you have a little hook in consciousness, you know, so.
That's cool.
But anyway.
Yeah. So I started doing that. And it was like the first time I had a really like bright lighty kind of realization thing. And I realized like, you got to not do stuff that you like anymore and only do stuff that you love. Because if I like it, it's what I think Jerry Maguire described as a soul-sucking, pride-swallowing siege that I will never fully tell you about. It's just agony, and I don't think I do a great job, and it's just not. I have to love it in order to fight through all those horrible feelings and self-doubt and get it to the finish line. Like I'm just like I know a lot of writers that can do fantastic work with stuff that they like, and I just don't happen to be blessed that way. And the other realization,
love the project,
for some reason, yeah, I think, well,
that's good though.
I
think that's good though, right? Because then it's like you put more. It's like something that you're passionate about.
It forces me to find that.
Yeah.
To find the thing that I think is like has to be said. And the other one was something that another writer, this guy, Danny Strong, had told me, which was, you got to stop trying to make the show you think other people want to watch and make the show you would want to see. And it was literally the next day that I heard about this book about the Showtime Lakers, because I listened to Lakers radio.
Nobody's a bigger fan of the Lakers than you.
This was like, they had like 16 wins that year. And I'm still listening to like Max and Marcellus every day talk about the Lakers. Like I'm that fan. I grew up with the team, whatever. So I stood in line at Book Soup the next morning when the book came out, and I got it. I flew across the country and talked the writer into giving me a flyer on it. And, you know, that was 2014, and it finally got produced in 2019. And
what was the story about the cardboard? That you had written down something on the cardboard?
No, when we went to pitch it originally, we made the billboards like on Sunset. We hired a graphic artist for the pitch to do like a cardboard, how do you call it? Like a poster with an image of Sunset Boulevard where the billboards would be. Cause I wanted to be like, this will be your drive on Sunset. And I was doing a podcast interview from my desk, and I looked at that sign across from my desk. This is right before the first season came out. And I realized we actually had that billboard on that building, and the date was the day that I had put on the billboard in the poster.
Was the release?
It was like March 5th or whatever. It was like, we'd put like March 5th only on HBO, and it turned out to be like March 5th on HBO. And it was like,
that's crazy.
And I was just like, when I saw it, I was like, holy shit, that's weird. Like,
that's really manifestation right there.
And I don't tend to believe in that. Like it just coincidence or whatever, but like I've had some experience. Like I also, when I was in rehab, I made a vision board. And when I moved out of my last house, I found the vision board from rehab behind like a sauna thing that we had built. Like, and there was, in the middle of it was the woman that I wanted was a reporter. Whoa. And I ended up marrying a reporter.
This is all proof that we're not alive and we are in the Matrix.
Right. But there was also a jet on it. So like, I haven't.
Oh, you haven't got that. What's next, man?
Yeah, I got one thing.
Apple project. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll pay for the jet.
Maybe a tiny jet. Yeah. When I was in rehab, I remember thinking, I was like, I would be outside, and the rehab was right in between the Netflix building and the some other building. I think Amazon, some production company, and that hasn't manifested yet. But if it does, then I'll be like, that's because
you're gonna have a bidding war between those two companies.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'll just be in the middle. Yeah.
You got some stuff coming soon, buddy. I cheated. Somebody told me when I was in rehab that they wrote down all the things they wanted to happen in their life, and all of them came true later. So I'm like, Academy Award.
Right.
I wrote down everything. Think
big. I mean, look, the Jim Carrey story is the most famous one, right? Where
we talked about that. We talked about it on the earlier
he gave
episode.
hope to a lot of people.
He
He gave a lot of people hope.
Yeah, there's a lot of checks written around to each other, to people themselves, and I don't think those ever got cashed, but it worked out.
No, there's just a
Worked out
bunch
for
of checks
Jim,
with like
yeah.
$1 million on them.
Jim Carrey wrote a check to himself for $1 million, say he's going to cash it one day, and then he eventually did.
Yeah.
But and so Dustin said he's writing $1 billion check to himself.
Might as well go.
Yeah,
all
why
the
stop
way.
at $1 million? It's like the Austin Powers thing, right? Like now you're like, $1 million. Like, what is
$1
that?
million.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll go to the ATM and I'll just put like $1 million and just press withdraw.
Just see what
See what happens. There's no harm in it.
And
The ATM starts
The
laughing
cops
at
show
me.
up.
Yeah. It just says ha 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 ha.
Dustin, you have included a few too many zeros.
It just says wow.
Wake up, dude.
Yeah, this isn't even an ATM card. This is your Ralph's card. This is your value pass.
So, as a huge Lakers fan, born and raised Lakers fan, huge fan, you went out, you sought out the book, you got the movie rights to it, and you produced a show about your favorite team. And it turned out 2 seasons. It was phenomenal. It was phenomenal.
And then it got canceled. Yeah, it was a dream come true, the cancellation. No, it was, and I wrote a thing about it at the time, and like I was extremely grateful for the experience and everything. It wasn't just it was my whole life changed during that time period. Like,
Really?
Yeah.
Because it was like that got a lot of heat, right?
Yeah.
Like, because I remember seeing it everywhere. Like, not only the billboards, like people were talking about it and everything. I watched it. I thought
not
it was
quite
amazing.
enough heat, but
but I don't know. Sometimes
we came out at a very weird time last summer during the strike. None of the actors could talk about it or post about it. We couldn't.
see
that's right.
that
do
sucks.
anything, and
When it was interesting too, because when it initially came out, Jeannie Buss, the owner of the Lakers, couldn't really get behind it because a lot of the players.
Greg brokered the truce of the Lakers and winning time. You should like.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
What? How did you do this?
Well, you tell the story. You tell it.
Well, because Greg was friends with Jay.
Yeah.
So,
And
so
Jay
what
was-
happened was, so I knew Jeannie. I knew they were watching it behind the scenes, and but she couldn't come out and talk about it because some of the Lakers weren't all on board with it. So she was I think she was in a political situation. Not to get into her info, but you asked me, and my friend, our friend Jay Moore is married to Jeannie. And you asked me, do you think Jay would be interested in doing a?
We had a part that was an agent. That was
Yeah, that
Kareem's
was an
agent.
agent,
I was
yeah.
like, you're going to do an agent. Like, who better to play an agent than Jay Moore, who played one of the most iconic agents of all time?
So he asked me to. So I went to Jay and I said, "Hey, would you be willing to go on to Winning Time to do a part?" My friend produced it and wrote it, and he said, he goes, "Well, I'd have to talk to Jeannie." And I said, "Okay." And then he talked to Jeannie. Said, "Yeah." I told Jim. I said, "Yeah, I think he'll do it." And then you reached out to their agents, and I was out of it. But then you ended up casting Jay.
That was one of the best days of work I've ever had. You came down,
Yeah.
and Jay and my friend, Solomon was acting that day. It was like one of my favorite people on the
That's
planet.
very
Yeah,
cool.
Solomon Hughes played Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Yeah.
And we all sat in the trailer. I watched them. So Jay had a scene. With Solomon, who played Kareem, agent player.
Yeah, I
thing.
remember watching that.
Yeah, right. And then there was a great scene. I got to watch it. I got to hang out.
I want to say, I think Jay did like the best acting I've ever seen him do in that scene. Like, I think his work has like gone to a new level, and he's really hitting on all cylinders.
I think
as an
he's
actor.
definitely hitting on all cylinders right now. Yeah.
Is that her name? All cylinders. Is that-
Well, it's interesting
It's a
because
great stripper name, all cylinders.
Coming to the stage.
it's interesting because Jay asked me to read with him he had to do an audition.
He
And
did?
and I've been studying acting for years, and I've done a lot of theater and stuff like that. So he asked me to sit down and read. I read with you too sometimes, but I sat down with Jay and I started reading with him, and I was reading his part, and it was unbelievable. Like, I've never seen somebody so good and so talented at looking at the script. Like, he memorized it right off the bat, and then he just started like grabbing props, did the thing, would talk, do this. I mean, I was like, okay, this is what like a master. It's like reading with a master. He was so good and so talented.
Yeah, one of my first sober jobs was writing as a facts writer for More Sports.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I lasted one episode, and then I got another. I think I got the other job. I think it was the then I got the Spike thing
Wow.
and stopped doing it. But yeah, and also Jay had done Action, which I don't know. It was a short-lived comedy series, but it was like the funniest thing I ever saw.
Yeah, I barely remember that show, but I do. And I was a kid when that came out.
You did?
But I remember it.
You saw it?
Yeah, I remember it. Everyone's saying it was like ahead of its time.
It was so fucking laugh out fun. There was a scene that I'll never forget. This is probably 25 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And he grabbed this writer's hand and he stabbed him in the hand and was like, blood pact, me and you right now. And I remember just like falling off the couch. That was like the funniest thing I'd ever seen. It doesn't play as funny when I say it, but
We gotta go back and watch that.
you got to go back and watch
Yeah.
Action because it was one of the funniest shows ever.
Jay's gonna.
It's called Action?
Yeah, it's got Action. It had Allison Janney, I believe.
Oh, did it?
I think so. Yeah. Buddy Hackett, I'm pretty sure was in it.
Jay has Buddy Hackett stories.
I
Yeah.
bet.
That's where that came from.
Yeah, he was like an agent or an executive or something like that in Hollywood.
Mhm.
And I think it was originally supposed to be at HBO and then went to a network, so it couldn't be
Wow.
quite as roguish as it was originally.
Mhm.
Wow.
And
How was it? Was watching your creation of doing the show come to fruition?
the
About
new
the
one or
Lakers?
the,
No, the Lakers one.
it was wild. Walking onto set was not just like walking into something I had sort of like imagined, but like also walking into like the dream of my childhood. Like here I am in the form. There's the Lakers. There's the Laker girls. Like
So incredible.
it was surreal. Yeah, for sure. I went to, for 5 years, I got to go to work at a place that had a department of basketball hair.
Wow. Wow.
It was great.
Department of Basketball hair. That's
Right?
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I
so
love
cool.
that show, man.
Thank
and
you.
I didn't even know about that. Like I'm not a huge basketball guy. I love the Spurs, they're my team from San Antonio.
There you go.
But like just
Nobody's making a show about that team.
well, hang on. You don't know what Wemby's gonna do.
Oh, that's true. Okay, the
Oh,
Wemby.
yeah,
bro. Wemby.
Yeah, man. No, but that show was so great because I didn't know anything about the Lakers really. I didn't grow up here. I knew a little bit, but just all the drama that happened, the creation of the team, Jerry, and it's so funny because I was watching that. And like a genie came out to my show the other night. Yeah. She
Isn't
loves
it-
me.
by the way,
I think
I've worked
I'm
with
her
a lot of
favorite
people-
comic now, instead of
Okay,
Jay.
I'm gonna one up you. I'm gonna one up you. I went bowling with her last night.
Oh damn. Okay. Well, you win.
I gotta
But
say, like,
she didn't laugh
I've
at my
worked with a lot
jokes,
of
huh?
people. Like, I've worked with movie stars. Stuff like the only person I get truly starstruck around is Jeannie Buss.
Really?
I'm so weird and awkward around her. Like, I hate myself because she's like the fucking queen. Like, growing up, it's like Jeannie Buss. Like,
She's so cool too.
She's the queen.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable because she is so kind and nice and sweet. Yet, on the other hand, she's this really savvy, incredible
Yeah.
businesswoman.
yeah,
You know?
I don't trust it. But that's
Yeah.
But yeah, that's amazing. And she loved, oh my God. I saw her laughing at my jokes, a little bit, she's laughing, kind of thing. She was going nuts.
Oh, really?
For yours. She
Yeah.
loved your joke about
I
this.
saw her over there. I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
You were killing it.
I was doing my show to her pretty much.
She-
I was like, yeah.
I talked to her last night about you, and then Jay was saying the joke she really loved was your Ozempic joke.
Yeah.
You're like your punchline was like, you're with a girl and did you give me Ozempic?
Yeah, she
Like, it was
lost weight. She's like, I'm like, what happened? She's like, I got Ozempic. I'm like, oh shit, do I have Ozempic now? Yeah, I do a whole Ozempic chunk,
Yeah.
and yeah,
She
that's
loved it.
funny. I'm glad she appreciated that.
That's so cool. And
have you got tested? Are you?
Yeah, they found diabetes. That's no, I'm just kidding.
it's so cool too.
Well, it's so funny because, I want Ozempic now, but I did try it. I bought it at a recovery meeting from some dude, some black market
Wait,
Ozempic.
what?
Yeah, that was it.
You're like buying Ozempic off of like the street? Like,
Yep, I was, dude, and I bought it and I took it and it made me sick, so I didn't buy anymore. Yeah,
I've heard that story before. Somebody I know.
It was probably
I
They
bought
cut.
some Ozempic off the street.
No, they got regular Ozempic in the way that you should do it with like a prescription on stuff. And got really sick and was like, "This is not for me."
Yeah, I just wasn't into.
You know
it.
what the problem was?
Hmm.
They cut it.
It was cut. Yeah.
They
It was
cut
probably
the
cut with
Ozempic, dude.
Manzaro and
Exactly. It was a little cocktail, a little fat cocktail. Yeah.
They cut it down to increase profits.
That's what it was. It was whatever it was cut with. It's probably a baby laxative in it or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, that would explain a lot.
Yeah.
Well, you know, what was interesting about Jeannie Buss is that she wasn't vocal about it, and and couldn't say anything about really whether she supported the show until the second season.
Right.
She came out, she did the podcast, right?
Yeah.
You guys had a podcast,
Yeah.
and she was very, very supportive.
Yeah, that
of
was
the
like
show.
the most moving thing that I told her, like because she had first done an interview, I think, on Petros and Money, and she talked about John C. and how much she loved it, and I like again, it sounds like I'm a big crier. I'm not, but like tears sprung out when I heard her say that. It was like so.
Oh yeah, that's a huge
It's
thing.
like, oh my
Yeah.
God, like
She said something about how she was able to relive her experience with her father.
yeah. Well, I'm glad we were able to.
Something like that. Something to
Yeah.
the nature of that.
John C.
that's-
Riley was great in that.
he killed it.
Yeah, I'm shocked that and I'm not trying to campaign or anything, but like the Emmy Awards are, it's an award show that they do for television shows. And I'm shocked that John is not, in the top tier of the people
It's
they're talking
insane.
about for that
Yeah.
because I thought he was.
He should have been.
And
nominated.
Adrian, by the way, Adrian Brody, I thought also
Adrian
is
was good.
deserving of at least, some nominations and stuff. And like,
Yeah.
I don't know how that stuff is done, and not to diss the other people that are up for those
Yeah.
awards this year, but those guys are better.
Yeah.
Our guys are better.
Yeah. I mean, it was amazing. It was really great. Yeah, because I didn't know what Jerry Buss looked like.
Yeah.
And I Googled it and everything. And I'm like, whoa, that's pretty dead.
And John
on.
C. Riley does not look like Jerry Buss.
No.
And when he came in and he had the hair out to here with like the reverse mohawk almost that he has, like, and I was like,
He killed
this is
it,
never
huh?
going to work.
Mhm.
I mean, Jerry Buss was like a famously, what's the word, the PC term for it? Like he slept around a
Womanizer.
lot. Yes.
Womanizer.
Womanizer. Thank you. And
Yeah.
I was like, and then he went into hair and makeup and he came out and I was like, oh my God, it's fucking Jerry Buss. It's like, he looks just like him.
That's cool.
That's got to be the coolest thing in the world, man.
Yeah.
Let's take a minute to support our advertisers. If you hear the products being advertised, oh wait,
Oh, yeah. We don't have any.
oh man.
But if you'd like to be a sponsor, go to our website, goodthingspod.com, drop us an email, and we'd love to advertise what you're making.
If you hear the advertisements, support who advertises us. That's the way we stay afloat.
Well, the new one, not to
Yeah, no,
just
let's
turn
talk
to
about
what
the
I'm plugging.
I mean, everything happens for a reason. So what's the
absolutely.
new one? dude?
That's something I've been working on for 25 years. It was my thesis project at USC
Whoa.
in the 90s.
Whoa.
And finally got produced and comes out on Apple May 17th.
What's the show called? What's it about?
It's called Big Cigar. It's about the leader of the Black Panthers, Huey P. Newton, who was targeted and framed by the FBI.
Played by John C. Riley.
Exactly. It's controversial. Played by Andre Holland, who is I don't know, a lot of people don't know him, but I think is one of the best actors on the planet, if not the best. He was in The Knick, he was in Moonlight, and he's just phenomenal.
Wow.
Like when we were making up the list of like, who would we want for Huey P, it was like a list of one person. And when his agent called and said, would you consider, I was like, you don't have to sell me on Andre Holland. That's who I want.
Wow.
And so it's the story of he got framed for a murder and, he came down to Hollywood. He had these Hollywood friends who had produced Easy Rider, Last Picture Show, 5 Easy Pieces, The Monkees. They own The Monkees. Candice Bergen, Jack Nicholson, and this producer Bert Schneider. And they hit him out, and he got to Cuba by pretending to make a movie with them.
Oh, what?
So it's a true story of how
I gotta see
Huey's
this.
fake movie got him out of the country. And it's like, they're all fucked up because it's 70s Hollywood. Like Easy Rider, you can just imagine how much drug these guys were doing at the time. And so they're paranoid, right? They're like, our phones are tapped. We need code words. So from now on, when we talk about this, Huey is the packager, the star. You're the producer. You're the director. This guy over here, he's going to be the Jew. They call him, one of the guys, the Jew. I didn't make that up. And they were like, the story is about how the package gets to Big Cigar, aka Cuba, without landing in the pokey. And so every time they got on the phone with each other, they're talking in this code about making the movies. But the irony is, like, their phones really were tapped by the FBI. Like, they weren't just being paranoid. And so there's a real threat the whole time of, like, you know, getting killed, because the FBI back in those days didn't, you know,
They didn't mess around.
they were just looking for a pretext to shoot these people.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, dude. When does that come out?
Friday.
Oh, well, we
On
got
Apple,
we
yeah.
got you on your press tour.
Yeah,
This is
it's-
awesome.
I know. We
Yeah.
got. You know what? We'll have to release this one on Monday.
We got to do this one.
Yeah, this
quick.
one. We'll release
Uh,
this one on Sunday.
And that was also a crazy story, because it was my thesis project. I put it aside. When my friend Josh wrote the article that became Argo, I was like, I have something really similar.
Mhm.
And he read it and he got into it. And I got to say, when I first got into it, I was using a lot of drugs. I was not only a coke addict, but like aspiring to be a bigger coke addict. So like these coke addict Hollywood guys were like my heroes at the time.
Yeah.
And then I get sober at the very beginning, 2001, and my perspective on the whole thing shifted. So we almost gave up on the article because we couldn't find this producer, Bert Schneider. He had produced all these movies and owned every one of them, used his money. He owned the monkeys. So like $1 billion by today's standards. Disappeared. Nobody knew where to find the guy. We were like ready to give up on the article. And I used to write at night back then. Remember, I'd go to like Aroma Cafe on Sunset. And so one night that place closed. And so I went to Swingers at like 3 a.m. and they were kicking out this old homeless guy, unhoused gentleman, elderly, with a walker for like harassing the waiters. And he dropped money on the floor. And I bent down to help him pick up the money. And I saw the eyes and I was like, oh my God, you're Bert Schneider.
What?
And he was like, yes, tell them who I am. Tell them what I did with Chaplin, and he was like,
Whoa.
we sat in the booth and we talked until dawn, and he was living in,
That
dawn?
is insane.
it was crazy. And he was
Wow.
living in a 1-bedroom motel room next to Swingers. That's where he ended up. And so we would interview him, brick
know
of
that
weed in
hotel
the cabinet, because I don't want to live hand to mouth. And we would interview him. He'd sit there with the baggie of Coke and just.
Wow.
So that's where it took him. So I had a good perspective on like, this isn't just a story of all the things that it is about, which is amazing. But for me, it really spoke to me about addiction, because, recovery and mental health were not what they are today in 1970 or 1974. And these are two people that died. Huey Newton was killed in a drug deal in Oakland in 1989. And it's a tragedy what, was taken from the world, and both this creative person with the producer and this incredibly charismatic, brilliant leader in Huey P. Newton. And so my whole perspective on the story was different, seeing, especially where Bert ended up.
God, that's incredible. What an incredible story, man.
He called me on Thanksgiving. They're kicking me out of the hotel. I had to go leave my mom on Thanksgiving and drive up and pay Bert Schneider's hotel bill
Wow.
so they wouldn't kick him out.
Wow.
That's crazy.
I may call you up too.
Yeah.
When
He gets kicked out of Burger King a lot.
You do?
Hey, I can't afford my Burger King bill. I need you to come down and help me out.
Jim, that's insane,
It's
dude.
crazy.
That is so
I love
cool.
your life has so many of these wild coincidences and stuff, man.
I remember Ron Howard spoke at USC one time, and they asked him, like, why do all your movies have happy endings? And he was either like, that's not how life is. And he was like, life is full of happy endings if you just know where to look for them. And I don't think of it the way you're saying it. I'm saying it now, like in the space of one interview, and I hear all these landmarks, but when I'm in it, I just feel like, things don't work out for me all the time.
That's
I constantly feel like the universe is against me. And
I get that same way. I don't feel I've done some things, but I don't feel like I did anything lately. It's
Right.
like you'll just look. Then I'll go look at my IMDb, or someone will remind me,
Right.
like, "Oh, you were in that," and I'm like, "Oh yeah."
I
guess
saw one
was.
comment on Twitter this week about the show, and I was like in bed. Everybody hates me, and I'm terrible. And
Yeah.
Why is it that,
It's sensitive people? I
we're
guess.
three-
I don't know.
relatively, successful people. I mean,
Mhm.
obviously you guys are incredibly successful. I'm moderately successful, but yet we can't see our own successes. And we always, I know the three of us share the same thing, is
Right.
we always feel like we're not doing enough, or we're going to fail, or whatever. I mean, it's like it's a gift, but it's a curse, because I think it causes us to strive and continue to work hard. But it also causes, me depression and low self-esteem and turmoil.
Yeah, Max Bornstein, who the co-creator on Winning Time, who was the showrunner on the show. I tend to think it's like an alcoholism thing, but like Max isn't, so he understands. Like it's like every time we talk about this all the time, because like every time we get in that place where like you just can't figure something out about a script, you plunge. You're just like all the insecurities and horrible feelings, and like you just feel terrible until you figure that thing out, and it feels so permanent. Like, why did I ever think I could do this? Everybody's going to see I can't, like, and then of course the next day you figure it out. Like,
it's funny because Alonzo Bowden said, I heard him say this before. It's not the absence, it's not the absence of fear. Everybody has the fear. It's the courage to walk through it. And so where I was previous in my life, I think it's probably stopped me from achieving a lot of things, because I would think, well, I'd be afraid and I'm going to fail, so why even try? And then look bad, and fail. But I've shifted now to be like, okay, I have that fear, I might fail or whatever, but I'm going to try anyway. It's the courage to walk through that fear and still pursue it.
Yeah. And I think ultimately that's what it's all about, is like, just, you have a voice. Like that's all you really have to offer the world is your voice. And, rather than question it, you got to make sure that it gets heard. And it doesn't matter if other people think it's good. If you think if it's what you think and how you feel, there's enough other people out there that will feel and think that way too. But as an artist, that's all you have to offer.
I'm shooting for something really big right now.
Are you?
Very, like, enormous. And I could not live with myself if I don't try. Yeah. And I'm gonna try. And,
is it this podcast?
No. No, it's
very funny, Jim.
It's asking Dustin on a date.
Yeah.
No, it has to do with the comedy show that I've been producing, and I'm gonna try something really big. And I mean, it seems impossible, but you know what?
And like I've seen you go through it too, because like you were just like, I'm gonna do comedy.
Yeah.
You hadn't done it before.
You saw it from the beginning.
You're like, I'm just.
Oh, you saw him from the beginning.
I saw when Greg does material about doing some drugs and stuff like that. I saw him just after that.
Oh God, just terrible. Just terrible. Yeah, you think I'm bad now? You should see me back then. But that's amazing, dude. It's your stories are just insane, dude. It's the things that you've been able to accomplish, and are you happy as a result? No.
Sometimes, no, he's not happy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm stressed out right now about how this is all gonna go over.
And then how are you gonna deal with that?
Which part?
The stress.
Oh well, I work out, I meditate. I love
finding stuff like that. I always try to ask every guest like how you deal with stuff.
That's what because it's easy when it's easy.
Yeah.
When things are going good, it's easy for me to be in a good mood. But like, it's hard when there's challenges, and that's just like how it is. You know what? It's also, I got married a couple of years ago. I have stepkids, and like that's like a constant mirror to like, that feeling of restless irritability and discontentment. Whatever the fuck it is, like the way I feel, that irritable, nasty feeling that I tend to get.
Yeah.
I can't be that around Courtney and my stepkids. Like, I don't want to be the reason. I will anyway, but like, I don't want to give them more material for therapy. Like,
but what's good is that I think we learn, and I'm trying to learn is I don't show it. I'll talk to my recovery sponsor. Dustin and I talk a lot about this with each other. A lot. And we'll bounce things off each other, because my perception is that I'm failing. I've never done anything good. My future's not going to work out. And, and then I'll call Dustin when I'm feeling that way, and he'll be like, dude, you're, and he'll cheer me up and say I'm funny and tell me positive things. And then he'll call me and about his life failing and nothing's going to work. And I'm like, dude, I'm like, it's like, you're doing this, you're doing this, you're doing this, and you're doing this. But some reason our perception is skewed, and
it's good to have that like reflection, right? Where you can see it in other people that you think are like doing really well, that they feel the exact same way that you do.
Yeah.
And when I first started coming around recovery, and I met people that were like richer than I would ever be, more famous than I would ever be, better looking than I could ever be. And they felt that same like way that I did. It was good because I was like, oh, there really is not enough anything in the world to fix it.
Yeah.
Because I had
a
this,
trip,
that's
man.
what winning time is about, really, right? It's about this idea that there's some time out there that you're going to win and that'll fix you and that everything will be all right and perfect. And the truth is it's, you know, it's over in 5 seconds. It's elusive and ephemeral. And as soon as it's gone, as soon as it happens, it's gone. And then you need, if you're still on that train, like you need something bigger, you need a dynasty, you need every woman in the world, you need all the money. Like, and even if you get that, it doesn't fix it. Like it just, it's an illusion, but it's also this illusion that we all chase, even if you know it's an illusion.
There's not enough of anything to solve what's wrong internally.
Right.
You know, there's not enough outside things to solve the internal problem. And what I'm learning, you know, here's what I'm trying to avoid. I'm trying to avoid when things are going well and I'm depressed, that lie. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to avoid that. And, but it's hard, man. It's hard. And, you know, I'm reading a Tony Robbins book and it's
because when you're in it, it feels completely real.
It does.
Yeah.
What I've gotten good at is not vocalizing it.
Yeah.
I've learned to just keep it quiet and talk to Dustin or my sponsor about it and not create more problems from it. I try to. Sometimes I do, but
I hate when people say like feelings aren't facts. Because it's a fucking fact. I feel that way.
Yeah.
And you telling me like I'm not entitled to isn't really helpful. Yeah. Right. Or the other one I hate is like people talk about, you know, justified resentments.
Yeah.
I've never had a resentment in my life that wasn't 100% truly justified.
Yeah.
I can see why yours are fucked up, but like,
but mine makes sense.
Do you know what I mean? Like mine are like, of course, I've been wronged.
Yeah. I look at it all like feelings. They'll come and go now. You know, like if I'm feeling sad, it's like, all right, I'm feeling sad. Got to accept this. I might feel sad for a little while. Maybe I'll go for a walk or something. Maybe it'll leave. Maybe it won't. It's just a feeling, you know?
You've gotten so much better since the beginning of your sobriety.
Oh, yeah, I was a wreck, bro.
No, I mean, you weren't a wreck. You were just new in sobriety. And it's like you're doing 1,000,000 times better, you know?
Well, thank you, Greg.
And then here's, you know, Daryl Hammond says this too, you know, and I said this to you, Dustin. It's, he said, man, because I've called him with my problems. And he said, listen, if you went to a court or law and you pledge your case of why things aren't going for you, he would throw the case out for lack of evidence. Right. And I'm like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. Do we have time for some news stories?
Yeah.
We like to do these good news stories.
This is my worst. Are you going to ask me to like say something funny?
No.
That's like my worst.
Dude,
nightmare.
we don't even say stuff funny. We just say,
not at all. Okay. We just read news stories. It could just be a positive news story.
Is that for you guys? Because I'm sure every time someone introduces you and they're like, hey, this is my friend. He's a comedian. Be funny, right?
Oh, I hate that shit. Yeah.
That's the worst.
Can you come up with something like?
Not if the pressure's on, it's hard to.
It's weird, right?
Yeah. So I was like, make me laugh.
Do you have a joke that's ready for that situation? Maybe just like one joke.
I'll just do like the Jack Black impression or something.
Oh, that's good. I can see that.
Yeah, that's an easy one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. All right, news stories. Positive news stories. We're gonna go with the animal theme this time.
Oh, animal theme.
Yeah. So a wild orangutan was spotted using a medicinal plant to treat a wound. So this
one way, was it like hydrocodone? That'd be crazy. These monkeys are on pills.
He's chopping up and snorting OxyContin.
But he's using like a rock, you know, like a caveman.
His tools. He's using tools. That's good.
Bro, it's crazy you mentioned monkeys. I saw Planet of the Apes. I've been in a little.
Is it good?
Not the newest one, but I went back and I watched the other two. And dude. Primates are crazy.
They are.
Yeah.
They're smart. Like the fact.
They are.
This is the first recorded time that they got a monkey like making medicine pretty much.
Yeah. His name's Racus, Rakus. Racus. And he got injured in his face. He had a big gouge in his face. Mm-hmm. And there's this leaf. It's a medicinal leaf. And he was chewing it up so the juices came out and then rubbing the leaves on his face, the chewed leaves on his face to heal his wound.
Wow.
We gotta watch out. This is, you know. I saw Planet of the Apes, bro. That it starts with little medicine tricks, and you're like, next thing you know, you got a collar around your neck.
The study marks the first systematic documentation of an active wound treatment with a biologically active plant substance in great apes and other non-human species.
Was it just like trying, like they know that it wasn't just like lucky coincidence, or like,
I don't know. He was treating the wound with
that guy always goes to him like, how did somebody the first time try an egg or something like that? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
How did
I'm
someone
glad they
decide-
did, because eggs are
totally,
good.
but like, who's like, oh, let's put that on a fire and then eat it? Like,
Yeah, there was probably a bunch of other weird stuff. But before, it was like a trial and error thing.
Right.
They were like cooking beaks and like just everything. Probably back in the day, you were just cooking everything, see what tastes good.
just try it. Yeah.
Give it to the
Who came up with the
idiot.
idea of smoking weed? You know, let's put this in a pipe and smoke it.
That didn't work. Smoke that one. And they just went through the whole forest until they found the thing that got you high.
Yeah,
They found weed.
a lot of people died doing that, so we could get high.
You know, I mean, listen, I go to the zoo all the time, and I love the gorillas and the monkeys. And you look at them. There's this little plexiglass thing, and they're on the other side. You look at them, and you look in their eyes, and you watch them eat, and you look at them observing people and stuff. You see a lot of ourselves in them. You know, you can.
Kids are like that too.
Yeah.
I just went to Africa.
Did you?
What?
Yeah, that was the best trip I've ever taken in my life.
Wow.
Did you do a safari?
Yeah,
Nice.
What'd you see?
everything. Like a lion came and pissed on our truck.
What?
Yeah, and
That's
then
its truck now.
walked next. Yeah, then went under the truck and like scratched its back on the axle.
Whoa.
That's crazy.
Yeah, walked right past my wife. It's all open too. The Jeep is open.
Wow.
It just walked right under her hand. She could have touched it. Like
I had a similar experience at Rainforest Cafe. Yeah, the waiter pissed on our table. Yeah, it was at the
it's
mall.
a full experience.
Yeah. It was quite a.
That's
experience.
incredible, man. I want to go into Africa. You know what? Here's the one I want to do. I want to go the ones where you could go sit with the gorillas.
That's Uganda. Yeah.
Uganda.
Yeah.
I want to do that.
It's like Jurassic Park, man.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Because there's like the gorillas are such gentle species that you can go sit with them and then you hear them like go, and which is like meaning that means they're okay with you. You know?
Really?
Yeah. You just don't look them in the eyes because that's a challenge. So you're not allowed to stare at them in the eyes. And they come up, they walk, and there was one like grab. I love those. I watch those videos all the time. That's my dream.
Cool.
I'm gonna do that.
We're trying to raise money to send Greg to Africa.
Yes, we're gonna start a GoFundMe to let me hang out with the gorillas. All right, here's another. This one: a rescued German Shepherd saves owner's life just months after adoption. So today's good news stories comes from Oakland, New Jersey. Sadie, a 6-year-old German Shepherd, was given up by her people. They couldn't take care of her. They were moving, so they put her in a what's it called, sanctuary or whatever. And somebody came and they found the dog and they adopted him, gave him a second chance in life. Well, last week tragedy struck when Brian, who adopted Sadie, had a stroke. And so Sadie never left his side after he had the stroke. With quick thinking and unwavering determination, Sadie licked Brian's face to keep him awake and helped drag him across the room to his cell phone where he could make a call to 911 to get saved.
Whoa. Imagine if he would have adopted a monkey.
Right.
He would have been
The
giving
monkey
him
just would have done.
CPR.
Yeah, would have done the surgery right there. Right.
Yeah, I'm going to need 50 cc's.
No, he would have went out and got the leaves and like rubbed him with leaves.
Yeah.
Is there any evidence that Sadie also gave him the stroke?
Hey.
It's true. So I thought that was pretty. Animals are fascinating.
They are fat. I love animals.
If
bro.
he'd have died, though, Sadie would have fucking eaten him for sure.
Well, if Sadie was a cat, definitely. I don't know. I think dogs wait for a little longer. Like they're a little more respectful, but cats,
They give it like a week.
yeah. If you fall asleep, a cat is like, oh, hey, man, I'm alive. What are you eating me for?
My cat grooms me at night.
Really?
It's just trying to get a taste of flesh.
That's what I'm thinking. Like he's gonna eat me. Like,
Oh, yeah.
and you got
the best cat ever I've ever seen. It's like it's huge. How big is it?
It's over 20 pounds, and it's only 10 months old.
It's like a little lion,
Really?
like a little mountain lion, or
It's gigantic.
like what's it called? Lynx.
Yeah,
it's like
it
a
looks
little
like
lynx.
It's a Maine
right?
Coon. Yeah, so it's
That's
like
how Jim's gonna get taken out.
But it's super
No,
friendly.
he's gonna eat me.
Yep.
Yeah,
He is gonna eat you.
he's getting me to like him and like let him in the
Yeah.
room, and then
Yeah.
he's like just getting a taste, and then
Yeah, that's how it starts.
as soon as he decides, he's gonna take a cheek.
Dude, when after you get mauled, we're gonna cut this little interview into a clip
It
about
is-
the lynx, and we're gonna get a lot of views and likes from it.
Oh yeah, we'll put like sad music behind it.
Yeah. Writer creator of Winning Time
Yeah.
details his own death.
Yeah.
Right?
I like that.
I saw a story
Views.
where, like the guy that now like lives with this lion or whatever that he adopted, and the joke was like, "You're going to be in the news again, buddy, because that lion is definitely going to eat you." And I was like, "That's me." Like,
you got a little lion, man. Yeah.
All right, final news story. Here's a good one. So these two twins were. Today's news story comes from the United Kingdom. In a dramatic display of bravery and sister love, Georgia Laurie has been awarded the prestigious King's Gallantry Medal for saving her twin sister Melissa from a life-threatening crocodile attack. The incident occurred in Mexico's in a lagoon in Mexico. The twins, along with their friends, were enjoying the day, and all of a sudden, one of the girls got attacked by a crocodile.
Can I just point out how fair we are? How fair of a news organization? Like we've got two animals are good, and they were like, hey, but also
Yeah.
fair and balanced.
Yeah, fair and balanced. That's
Yeah.
what we're trying to go for. Yeah.
It's a good point. And so what happened is she got attacked by a crocodile, and the sister jumped in to help her and was like punching the crocodile. It came back a second time, got her again, pulled her under the water.
Ooh.
And Georgia spotted her sister face down, sprang into action. That's not a sight you want to see, she said. Ignoring the danger, she swam to Melissa, revived her, helped her regain consciousness, right, for her sister. But the crocodile returned. Another battle ensued.
Oh my God.
The crocodile came back a third time and attacked her a third time. And Georgia continued to fight the crocodile and sustained bite injuries to her hand. Her relentless assault eventually made the crocodile release her sister Melissa after she punched the heck out of it.
It's like that DiCaprio bear movie with the.
That
crocodile.
is right. It just kept coming back,
Yeah.
man.
Three times. She had to fight it out 3 times.
Oh man. And she got the King's Gallantry Award.
She got the King's Gallantry Award for saving her sister. Now, here's what I want to know from you guys.
God.
Two of my
I
really,
knew you were gonna. You
really
always
my
ask
closest
this.
friend.
I would
Okay.
not save you.
yeah. Would you jump in the
No.
water and fight off a crocodile to save my life?
How old are you?
I'm 50.
You just told us how
I'm
good it's
old.
been. Like,
That's a good question.
would you?
I mean, okay, this is tough because I've always wanted to be a hero also.
Uh-huh.
So I might. There might be a yeah.
I
That's
think
good.
I'd at least give it a shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I don't know how much of a fight.
Yeah. Am I wearing shoes? Because you can't go if they're nice shoes. I can't be in the water. You
That's
know, I'll get
true.
my shoes
That's
off.
true. That's true.
That's one of those you really have to be there with the crocodile to know what you would do. I mean, don't you think? Like,
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
we could talk about it all we want, but until you're face to face with that
Yeah.
little Tyrannosaurus, you don't know.
you might
Yeah.
spring into action, surprise yourself, like
Yeah, like, whoa.
superhuman strength, or you might run for the hills.
You just kill it, make boots out of it.
Oh
you
my
just
God.
you just never know unless
Now,
you're.
when you brought the boots into it, now I want to fight the
I
crocodile.
know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
That's
just
a
never
great
know.
story. Where did you get those boots?
Oh well.
A crocodile was
Oh,
eating
yeah.
Greg.
Yeah.
I killed it and now I wear it on my feet.
Yeah,
that's
that's
cool.
a good one, dude.
Yeah.
Beat
like
that with
That-
your cat Instagram. Like,
Man, Jim, you know what, dude? I love you, bro.
I love you too.
You're such a good
Yeah.
friend. You took me under your wing when I was new in recovery. And
I just did that to get girls.
yeah, I know you did. Yeah,
He's a
I was
great
attracting
chick
lots of
magnet,
them.
bro.
I was a chick
Yeah.
magnet with ground down teeth, missing a few teeth. But anyway, dude, you're such a good friend, and I'm
Thanks.
so happy to hear your success and follow your success, and
Same.
just phenomenal stories,
Same.
man.
And I'm getting really fond of Dustin. I haven't known him as long, but
Yeah, but
Yeah.
then I
We're getting to crocodile territory.
Yeah, we're right there. At least a little alligator gar.
It depends on how big the crocodile is.
But yeah, I love you. Just such a great example of like how just sobriety can just open up so many doors and just change things in life.
And also at times what not to do. So
yeah. So it's awesome, man. It's
Thank
super
you.
cool.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
congratulations.
It's been great to watch you.
Thanks, man.
Start coming around and
More to come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming, man. And what a great interview. And go watch Big Cigar,
Apple,
TV. Watch Big Cigar, and,
or steal it from somewhere and watch it.
Yeah,
yeah. And wherever there's ratings, give it an honest, good rating.
Not an honest, a good rating.
Yeah, give it a 5. Give it 5 stars, man.
5 stars, no matter what you think.
Watch it, download it, share it, and all that stuff, man. Thank you, Jim, for coming out.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Peace.
All right.
That was awesome. I'm Dustin Ibarra.
I'm Greg Baldwin.
Find us on social media and on the web at goodthingspod.com.
You can also find us on Instagram and YouTube at Good Things Are Happening Podcast.
We're on Patreon. Sign up because we're going to have some cool stuff on there.
Like really, really, really cool stuff.
So dope we can't even talk about it. And remember, when life gets you down, good things are happening.
Good things are happening. Help somebody.